Sup lads, welcome back to another video. Now today we're doing another tier list video. You guys seem to really enjoy the one on the Southampton players. Now today we are going to be doing a one not about Southampton players but about English football teams. Now, the only criteria is you have to be in one of the top four leagues in England, and you have to have won a major trophy. So that's a Premier League or an old First Division, FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, a Champions League or European Cup. So basically, or any European trophy or Community Shield and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get straight into it. And the first club is Arsenal. Now, I don't think there can't be any doubt about this. They just have to go in great because they're one of only two teams to go invincible in the history of English football in the league anyway. So they just have to be in great. They've got to Champions League final, but they've never actually won the Champions League. They've won the most FA Cups out of any team, so they have to go in great, really. And yeah, so let's move on to the next team, Aston Villa. Now, it's going to be another team I'm going to put in great. Now, I'm going to tell you why. Aston Villa, one of the only teams in England to have won the European Cup, which is the old Champions League, if you don't know. Did that in the late 70s, I believe. So yeah, I've got to put Villa in great just because, again, because they won the European Cup and they've only, in the history of the Premier League, so since 1992, they've only been out of it for a few seasons, which is the one recently, so they've never been relegated from the Premier League up until the 2015-16 season. So they're just a solid Premier League club. They might go back down again this season, but solid club. They have to go in great. Anyway, the next club is Barnsley. Now, Barnsley are one of those like yo-yo clubs. They're one of the ones that too good for League One, but not good enough for the Championship. And for that reason, I'm going to put them in meh, just because they're not a great club. They haven't. I don't believe they've ever been in the Premier League. They actually, I think they were for one season. That was it. So yeah, they're a bit of a yo-yo club between League One and the Championship. So I don't really know much about them apart from that, to be honest. So they're just going to go in meh. And the next club is Birmingham City. So, of course, they are the other Birmingham team along with Aston Villa. Obviously, not as good as the Villains. They haven't been in the Premier League for a while, I don't believe, since the 2000s. Maybe 2010s early on, but don't think they were. They're not a great club, but they are quite a solid Championship club. I was debating between meh and average, but I just put them in average just because I thought, get a start. They're an alright club. And yeah, I'll just put them in average because meh is more like the League One teams and Birmingham are a solid Championship team, so I'll put them in average. And the next team is going to be Blackburn Rovers. Now, of course, they won the Premier League back in 1995, I believe it was, when they had Alan Shearer. Yeah, what a team that was. I'm going to have to start going through these quite quick, so there's quite a few. But I'm going to put Blackburn Rovers in average, as you can see on the screen, just because they haven't been in the Premier League for a while. And they've been in League One more recently than they have in the Premier League, so I'm just going to put them in average. If they were in the Premier League for a few more seasons, I probably would have put them in good, just because they won the Premier League, but I would have put them in average for now. Of course, they're doing quite well this season, but yeah, I just thought I'd put them in average. It's quite a high bar to set, to be honest, and I don't think Blackburn are quite in that good category. The next I was back, Blackpool. One season in the Premier League, that was the one when they had Charlie Adam, who was doing really well, but they still got relegated. They did do really well that season, though. But one season in the Premier League, you're going to have to go in meh, aren't you, really? Not quite the idea, because I believe there's a few clubs that haven't been in the Premier League, and they are currently League One team. I believe they're mid-table, maybe fine for the playoffs a bit as well. So I've gone for meh just because, again, as I said, one season in the Premier League as well as Barnsley, so not really good enough. Next club's Bolton. Now, they're set to be relegated to League Two because they got the points deduction at the start of the season. They almost went out of business, but they're still a club, and I have a thing for Bolton, and yeah, they're just a good club. I put them in good just because they used to be so good. Only a few years ago, they had JJ Okocha, Nicholas Anelka playing for them. And they are going to be in League Two next season. I believe it's the first time in over 100 years in the club's history that they are going to be playing in the fourth division of English football. So sad to see. But they had some good results in League One this season. And I put them in good just because they were a solid Premier League team up until recently. So I'm just going to put them in good. And the next team is Bradford City. Now, this is going to be the first team I'm going to put in the bottom category, oh dear, because, again, I think only one season in the Premier League. And currently a League Two club, the first one that is a League Two club. And most people just know them for when they beat Chelsea in the FA Cup 4-2. That's basically all I know them for as well. So they're going to know dear just because not like they're a League Two club, and they're most famous for beating Chelsea. Like, really, oh dear for me. Brighton's the next team, and now you're probably thinking good Premier League team, maybe good average. They've been in it for a few seasons, but before that, they've never been in the Premier League and haven't been in the top flight for a while, I don't think. So this is their first spell in the Premier League, and they're struggling. They haven't really gone. They had a period at the start of the season where they looked quite good, start of this season, but they've just fallen off. They haven't won in 2020 yet. I know it's been the season's been postponed, but 17th of April, and they still haven't got a Premier League win this year. It's a bit embarrassing, but the only Premier League club that don't. But yeah, so Brighton, I think average, just because they have been in Premier League for a few seasons now, but before that they hadn't. They had no history in the Premier League before that, so I'm going to put them in average. And the next club is Burnley. Now, Burnley are quite a decent club. Of course, they got into Europe a few seasons ago now. But didn't even get to the group stage of the Europa League. They got knocked out in the playoffs by Olympiacos. They have a history of knocking out English teams, and they knocked out Arsenal a few months ago. But Burnley, they're a solid Premier League club. I'm going to put them in average, just because I know they got Europe a few seasons ago, but they're kind of I would say they're a Premier League club, but they do go into the Championship every now and then. They're not going down this season. They're a solid club, but apart from that one season where they got 7th in 17-18, there's nothing really about European football, and they didn't even make the group stage. So I'm just going to put them in average. And next club is going to be Cardiff City. Now, 2 seasons in the Premier League for Cardiff. What happened in both of them? They both got relegated in both of them. So 20th in 13-14, I believe, their first season, on of course 18th last season. Cardiff, they're not a great club. Championship team, I call them. I'm going to put them in meh, just because only 2 seasons in the top, the Premier League, and I would say they're Swansea. Sorry, Cardiff fan, if any of you are watching this, I doubt it that you are, but I've got to put Swansea. I think Swansea are better than you. No offense, just 2 years in the Premier League, relegated to both of them. Not really good enough, is it? Anyway, next club's going to be Charlton Athletic. They were a solid Premier League club in the 2000s, and they haven't been in it for well over a decade, I think, now. Just got promoted from League One last year, now battling relegation in the Championship. I know I said with Black... Who was it that I said was battling relegation? Barnsley, I think it was, who are in meh, and they're too good for League One. Now, Charlton got promoted by the playoffs last season, and the difference between them and Barnsley is they have a history in the Premier League. So I'm going to put them in meh still, just because I'm in the Premier League for 15 years though, but they would be they're literally between average and meh, but I just put them in meh. As I said, there's a high standard for this list, and if you haven't been in the Premier League since 2005, you got to be in meh, or 2005, whenever it was. I don't actually know when it was, but it'll probably be maybe a bit after that, but they haven't been in for a while, so I'm going to put them in meh. Next club is Chelsea, so they're going to be the first one to go in great tier for a while. Of course, they have won the Champions League, but yeah, they've won the Champions League, and that's what's put them in great, really. They're a solid Premier League club. They've won 5 Premier Leagues, I think, battling for the top 4 every year. They won the titles recently in 2017, so good club. And they've got a promising future as well. The likes of Abraham, Mount, James, Tomori, all that coming through the academy. The son Ziyech as well, he'll be a good signing. So I think they're going to go in great. They're a solid Premier League club, and I do rate Chelsea. Of course, Aaron's a Chelsea fan, so he'll be proud they're in great tier as well. So anyway, let's move on to the next team, Coventry City. They've been in the Premier League before, but I don't think since the 1990s. They're currently top of League One, I believe, and they only got promoted from League Two, I believe, a few years ago. So they could be on their way back to the top, but I believe they are facing financial difficulties at the moment. Because, well, what was I saying? Yeah, they're facing financial difficulties. They're ground sharing with Birmingham, we saw earlier, and they haven't been in the Premier League since the 1990s, I do believe. So they're going to go in meh, just because if they do get promoted, I can't see them staying in the Championship next year. Whenever the Championship will start next year, whenever this season ends, they're going in meh. And the next club's Crystal Palace. I'm going to start going through these a bit more quicker now. Crystal Palace, solid Premier League team, going to go in average. Just because they've been there, but they're one like a bit like Burnley. They're a solid Premier League team, but never seem to quite get that way to Europe. The difference between them and Burnley is, of course, Burnley did actually get there one season. Palace haven't yet. But I don't think they'll get Europe this season. But they're a solid Premier League club. Anyway, next club is Derby County. Now, if you're most famous for having the lowest points in the Premier League in one season, you're not going to be great, are you? They got to the promotion playoff last season, of course, knocking out Leeds, but under Frank Lampard, but didn't quite get there. They're fighting relegation at one point this season, but I think things are looking up now that they've got Rooney, and I'm going to put them in average just because they're a solid Championship club, fighting for promotion for the last few seasons. They're going in average. Next club is Everton. Now, if you didn't know, they've never been relegated from the Premier League since 1992. And of course, they had that takeover, but nothing's really kicked on yet. They made all these big money signings, but nothing has really happened yet. And I'm going to put them in great, though, just because they've never been relegated from the Premier League in almost 30 years. So I believe they came close once, finished 17th. They were in the relegation zone at the start of the season. Well, not at the start, it was around the mid-season still they were. Then they got Ancelotti, now they're looking up. I'm going to put them in great tier because they've never been relegated from the Premier League. No success in Europe, I don't think. But yeah, I think they deserve a great tier just because Everton are a solid club. Next club, Huddersfield, of course, weren't in the Premier League like Brighton until they got promoted from the playoffs in 16-17. But they got relegated last year with a poor points tally. And I'm going to put them in meh. Just because they're now fighting relegation in the Championship. As I said, before 2017, they've never been in the Premier League. But maybe the only thing that would maybe put them in average is they actually won 3 First Division titles in a row in the 1920s. But that was 100 years ago, and it's a long time ago. And Huddersfield are going in meh. Next club, Ipswich. Norwich rivals. They were top of League One. At the start of the season. I believe they've fallen off. They might still be in playoffs, but I'm not 100% sure. Of course, relegated from the Championship. I believe they're in the Championship for something like 15 consecutive years before they were relegated to League One. They won the Premier League before that. I believe they have finished up as high as 5th in the Premier League, which is mad. But they haven't been in the Premier League since the 2000s. They're going to go in meh. Sorry, Ipswich fans, but yeah, not really good enough. Haven't been in the Premier League for a while, so a bit like a Charlton, I guess. And next club is Leeds. Now, just because Leeds have such a good reputation, of course, the day I'm recording this, Leeds United legend Norman Hunter did die. So rest in peace to him. And I think, yeah, they're going to go in good. I know they haven't been in the Premier League since 2002. That's probably going to change this year unless they bottle it again. But they are a good club. They've gone to the Champions League semi-finals as recently as the 2000s. So got to put them in there. They're going in good tier. Leicester's the next club. So they won a Premier League title and are now fighting for Champions League. They're probably going to get Champions League. But the thing is with Leicester, they haven't had it they haven't been too good historically. But I'm going to put them in good just because they won the Premier League title recently. If they hadn't had the Premier League title and they aren't challenging for Champions League now, I'd probably put them in average, but just because that happened, they're going in good. I think they're a solid Premier League team. Next team is going to be Liverpool. Now, no doubt, straight in the great tier. They're going to win the Premier League title for the first time this year, and the first time they're winning a title in over 30 years. So they're going in straight in great tier, no doubt about that. Great club historically. They've never really had a bad period. I believe they might have gone down to second division once, but I know Man United did, who's coming up soon, but I think Liverpool have, but I'm not 100% sure. Luton's going to be the next club, and then so current Championship club, I believe they're bottom of the league though. They've had a great rise. I believe they won League 2 and League 1 in consecutive seasons, but only 8 years ago, I believe, they were in the conference. Maybe it's probably shorter than that. And so if you don't know what the conference is, that's the 5th tier of English football, so non-league. So they don't really have much of a history. They were top flight, I believe, in the early 90s, just before the Premier League was came about. They're just going to go in OD. I'm sorry, Luton. I know you're in the Championship, but you have no history, guys. I'm sorry. I don't even know which trophy they've won, but they're just going to go in OD. Sorry, guys, but there you go. Luton's going in the OD category. Next two clubs, I'm just going to put them in consecutively. Man City, Man United, both going in great tier, because I would definitely put Man United. They're probably the best club in England of all time. They've won the most trophies, 2 ahead of Liverpool. But let's talk about Man City first, just left first alphabetically. Of course, if this was made before the takeover happened, they would have been average. But just recently, they have just done so well. The only thing that would maybe I say no to great tier would be historically, and if they won Champions League, no doubt they'd be in great. But they're going in great anyway, just because they've been so good recently. And yeah, they deserve great tier. Man United is going to be next, and another great tier, no doubt about that. Again, best club in England historically. They've won the most Premier Leagues with 13, which is just mad if you think about it. And they've just won loads of first divisions as well. They've won the most English titles in league titles in England. So they're going in great tier. Middlesbrough is next. They're a good Premier League club, but battling relegation to the Championship now. They're going to go in average just because they're a bit of a yo-yo club between Prem and Championship. Of course, they might go down to League One now, which Middlesbrough shouldn't. They're too big for League One. They should be really fight the playoffs every year, if you ask me. And they're going average. Newcastle's next, and they're going in good tier. Of course, there's rumours of takeover happening recently. So they could be the next club to go in great tier. But they're good historically. I believe in the 1990s, they finished second twice in the Premier League. So they're going in good. They almost won the Prem. They're good historically as well. And I believe they've won a few FA Cups, a few league titles. They even... Yeah, I think they might have... No, they haven't won a Champions League. They haven't got to a final either. But they might have won like a Cup Winners' Cup or something. I'm not sure. Newcastle going in good too, just say good. They're a bit like Leeds, a good historic club, but not too great at the moment. Norwich is next, and they're going to go in average. They're one of those Premier League. They're one of those clubs that can stay in the Premier League, but then also can be a Championship club. They're probably going down this year, almost certainly, and another club in average, just because. Yeah, they're a bit like Burnley, to be honest, but just not as good. So in Forest, Nottingham Forest next. Nottingham Forest have won 2 European Cups, 2 Champions Leagues basically, which is amazing for a club like Forest. But they haven't been in the Premier League since the 1990s. But the final promotion this year, they're going to go in average. I know they've won 2 European Cups, but they haven't been in the Premier League since 1990s. Even clubs like Reading have been in it since then. I can see at the bottom. Even clubs like Brighton have been in it since then, like Birmingham, and it's just not good enough for Forest, really. I believe they had a bit of financial troubles. Maybe prove me wrong on that if I am wrong, but they're going to go in average, just because I know they won 2 European Cups, but they're going in average. Oxford's next, and I didn't even know they've won a trophy, but they're going in oh dear. I believe they're final promotion in League One this year, but they've never been in the Premier League. And they're just, if you think of Oxford, you think of a League One or League Two club. You don't even think Championship. So they have to go, oh dear. A bit like Luton, not much of history, but they could be playing Championship football next season. A bit like Coventry, I can't see them staying up if they do get promoted. Next club, as you all know, I'm a Southampton fan, and it's Portsmouth next up. And in terms of history, I am going to respect the fact that Portsmouth have won more trophies than us, but I'm going to put them in average because they haven't got that much history as a top flight club, and they've been down to League Two recently, as Southampton have never been down to League Two. So I'm going to put them in average. I think that's fair. They're currently League One fighting for promotion. Of course, I hope they don't go up, but I would love to see a derby soon. Of course, we beat them 4-0. You just had to throw that in there. The Carabao Cup this season, so they're going in average because they're a nice club. Sorry, almost forgot there, but they're now joking, of course. But they're a good club. They're going in average. And Preston North End is next. So I believe when I was talking about Arsenal, I said only one other team had gone invincible in the history of English football. Now you guys are probably thinking, oh, it's Liverpool, it's Man United, it's maybe even Chelsea. But no, it's actually Preston North End. There's a fun fact for you guys. They went unbeaten. It was all the way back in the 1880s, though, I believe. They're going to go an average, if and they're fighting for promotion in the Championship this year, actually. But they've fallen off a bit now. They're kind of just fighting for playoffs now. They're going to go in average. And the next club is QPR. Also had that takeover where they were signing like Julio Cesar, Rob Green, all that. There was loads of others as well. Rio Ferdinand, I believe they signed. And that didn't really work out. They got relegated and haven't been in the Premier League since. They're a mid-table to relegation fighting Championship club, and they're going to go in average. Change up the screen a bit just to fit in more average teams because everyone seems to be average. So QPR's going there. Next club, as you can see in the bottom right, is Reading. Reading. I do respect Reading. They're kind of South Coast, not South Coast, but they're in the South. So as a Southampton fan, kind of, I don't know, Reading, they've been in the Premier League a bit, but I think they're just going to go in meh, just because they haven't had too much history in the Premier League. They're going to go in meh. And it's a high standard for Reading, so I'm going to put them in meh. They're kind of a Championship battling, relegation battling team, but they did reach the playoff final and only lost on penalties as recent as 2016-17. But if you think of Reading, you don't think of a Premier League club. So that might just be me, but that's what I think. Next club, Sheffield United. Now, of course, they're fighting for Europa League in this season, but historically they haven't been in the Premier League since 2006. They're all right historically. They're going to go an average, just because. Yeah, maybe they will. Maybe I think that just suits them perfectly. To be honest, even if they do get in Europe next season, I think they're still an average club. And that's going to be the same as their rival Sheffield Wednesday, if I'm being totally honest. There's nothing special about the two teams. They're just one of those teams that hip hop between the Premier League and the Championship a bit. So yeah, they're all right clubs. I respect them. But Sheffield Wednesday haven't been in the top flight for a while, I don't think. They did have players like Chris Waddle, Paolo Di Canio, so they're going to go on average. They've had some good players in the past. Next club's going to be Southampton. I'm probably going to be a bit biased. I'm going to put them in good. Now, this is just because we've only had one period in our history at the Premier League, which is the one where we're in Championship and League One. We've been in Europe in recent seasons, and with Portsmouth, before the Portsmouth fans say they haven't been in the top flight for a while. When they did, they reached Europe like once when they played AC Milan and Ronaldinho knocked them out. But I'm going to put us in good. It's probably a little bit biased. You guys probably think we're an average club, but we're in the Premier League most season. We're a solid Premier League staple. We're the odd challenger for Europe. And yeah, I'll put us in good just because I think we're a good club. If we didn't sell our best players, it'd probably be a Champions League club and we'd be going in great. But good it is. Next club's going to be Stoke. Quite a solid Premier League team until recently when they got relegated. Now they're battling relegation in the Championship now. Everyone expected them to go up last year, but they didn't. And I'm going to put them in average just because they used to be in the Premier League quite a lot. But now, as recently as 2018 when they got relegated there in the Premier League. But now they're not going up for this season. They've been disappointing. I would have expected them to go up by now, but continue to disappoint in the Championship. They're going average. Sunderland is the next club. So League One club, but I'm going to put them in good. I know they're in League One, but they're really good historically. They're a solid Premier League club, and they shouldn't be in League One. They shouldn't even really be in the Championship. They're a club like Newcastle, really. So they're basically similar, apart from Newcastle, obviously in the Premier League and Sunderland's two divisions below. But they're going in good just because Sunderland, I think. Everyone portrays them as a good English club because now they're famous for a Netflix show, which isn't great. But they're going in good because, as I said, they are a Premier League club, really. They should be in the Premier League. And Swansea City is going to be next. Now, club from South Wales. I said this earlier with Cardiff, all the way back at the start of the video. Swansea, I think they're better than Cardiff, and they're going to go on average. They've been in the Premier League recently as 2018, just like Stoke. But they got relegated. They're battling playoffs, I think, so that's pretty good. And yeah, they won the Carabao Cup, I believe it was recently in the 2010s, when Michael Laudrup was their manager. I believe it was him. And yeah, they're going in average. And Swindon is next. I mean, has to be Oh Dear. I believe they only spent one season in the Premier League. That was the first season. Now they're in League Two. If you're in League Two, you basically have to go Oh Dear, just like Bradford. I believe they're the only two league clubs in this list. There's also, I just want to say, I'm sorry for Notts County. They would have been in this list, but as I said, it's Football League teams only, and they're in the National League there. And the old the other teams in there were just old teams, like from the 1880s, that don't exist anymore. So Notts County is the only team that could have got into this list. And yeah, Swansea. So my apologies if there's any Notts County fans watching this. And Spurs is next. They're going in great. They haven't won a trophy since 2008, but they're a solid Premier League club. They battle for Champions League every year, and they're going in great. Just because, as I said, all the big six clubs have to go in great, really, don't they? Because they're battling Champions League and Europa League every year, so they have to go in great. And West Brom is next. Again, like West Stoke and Swansea got relegated in 2018. They're second in the Championship now, look highly likely to go up, and they're going to go an average along with the two teams they were relegated with in 2018. What more can I say, really? They are one of those clubs. I believe they've had the most promotions to the Premier League or the most relegations from the Premier League. It's one of the two, I think. So they're a bit of a yo-yo club, but they're staying in average. And West Ham's next. They're going to go in good just because they've most seasons there in the Premier League. And they should be battling for Europe, but they don't. They're currently in a relegation battle. But West Ham, they're a solid club. They're going in good. They're in the they're a Premier League staple, really. They're a bit like Southampton, to be honest. Just I'd say they're on a par, really. Those two teams, and yeah, West Ham's going in good. Wigan's next. I'm gonna put them in meh, just because they were in the Premier League for a while in the 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, but they are now kind of battling. They're one a bit like who is it? Barnsley. They keep yo-yoing between the Championship and League One at the moment, and yeah, they're going in a meh. And the final club is going to be Wolves. Of course, doing quite well at the moment, but they had that Portuguese takeover, didn't they? And if they didn't have that, they would still be in the Championship. So I'm going to put them in average. I know they're battling Europe at the moment. If they keep that for a couple more years, they'll be going in good. But of course, I believe in the 1950s they're quite good as well. So they're going in average just because they haven't had too much of a history in the Premier League recently. But of course, now they're battling for Europe. And if they keep, as I said, if they keep that for a few more years, we'll be seeing them in good in a few years. And yeah, guys, that's going to have to do it for today. Only two Premier League clubs don't feature in this video. Those were Bournemouth and Watford, if you're interested. So the only two Premier League clubs that haven't won a trophy. But yeah, that's going to have to do it for today. Thank you for watching. Here's the final tier list. You can have a good look, guys. But yeah, that's final tier list. And thanks for watching, guys. Greatly appreciated. If you could leave a like, sub, share, and turn the bell on, that'll make my day, guys. So if you can do that, I would appreciate that so much. And thanks for watching this, guys. Another tier list video. If you do have any ideas for tier lists, leave them in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys later.